Prescriptive fashion trends are completely obsolete in the 21st century due to two things. Essentially a huge move for customization and personalization, so people really want that individuality back again. And secondly, online democracy. You've had a shift from one opinion, which is your editor, to many opinions, which are your blogs, your forums, all of those kind of chat rooms and that sort of thing. So the power has really been sort of taken away from the industry, and it's been given to the public, and they are really going to set the scene and decide what they really want out of fashion. I think the role of the editor has changed completely. You're already starting to see, in terms of young teenage girls, a rejection of that voice of authority because of a democratization of online media. People can access and get their own ideas. So what people are looking at fashion magazines for are just really for ideas, but when it comes to that final purchase decision, it's a peer-to-peer review. So your fashion editor really is going to be much more of a curator. They're going to look for new talent, they're going to spot more interesting designs in terms of purist designs, and not just little trends that sort of enable us to play dress up, as I call it. It's really going to almost be like an art curator as we go into the 21st century. Fashion weeks and fashion shows were always seen as being quite elite. They were closed to trade and not really open to public, but the internet has destroyed all of that. And you're starting to see quite significantly designers like Armani started out with streaming online, and then that was followed by people like Victor and Rolf, Alexander McQueen. Everybody has started doing online. In fact, Dolce & Gabbana actually started live streaming of their shows to anyone who had an iPhone or an Android smartphone. And what you're starting to see is the cutting out of that middleman, which is the fashion show and the fashion editors, in favor of going directly to the public and to the consumer. Well, technology has really influenced print media, and print media is a huge part of the fashion industry. So the battle last year was with newspapers. The battlefield has moved this year, I think, to the glossy magazines. Because we've all been enabled as editors, inventions like the iPad are going to change new media consumption completely. And I read a comment recently that they said your fashion magazine is not really going to become this monthly magazine that you get, but it's almost going to become a collector's item and a coffee table item, whereas your daily consumption or weekly consumption of fashion will be on new media like the iPad, via the internet, live streaming, and of course online shopping is going to be huge. Fashion can definitely exist without trend cycles. If you look at fashion history in the 20th century, you had very definite personalities to decades up to the 1960s, 1970s. And then you started seeing design movements in the 80s, like the Japanese design movements or Belgian design movements. The tail end of the 20th century and coming to the 21st century, we started chasing our tails. And I think coming into the 21st century, the second decade, you're starting to see thematic designs, or those design movements where form, proportion, silhouette is going to be more important, or otherwise thematic design. So you're starting to see designers like Stella McCartney, who is a vegan designer. So they stamp very much a different personality or a different ethic, a role of ethics into their design. And that's, I think, the future.